Got to have it, shawty. When you are sway and overdrive me insane. Watch now. Señorita, 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 señorita,
WEFM is SVG.
Activated Mornings on WEFM 99.9 is on now.
Explicit, boy.
Travel up any place now. All right, Vincy people, WEFM family, and our listeners who are not Vincy people, but you are WEFM family. We are back with Activated Mornings with Roleza and Dianna. And this time we are continuing our interview. So earlier, between 8 and 9, we had an interview with three of our Vincentian creatives. And we are continuing the conversation now. A conversation with creative, new songs, new films, and award nominations. You can call us to be a part of the program, 457-9997, and you will get us right here on WhatsApp or direct. Just to tell you who we have, we are doing the interview with Hayden Billingy, Akley Olton, and Joshua Lewis, aka Chillbill. Right. So back into you enjoy the view outside?
I was telling Chillbill, there's just something about being able to come out on a peninsula or maybe go to Beckway, put Vincy over so.
Yeah.
And just like reflect on it. Don't wait until already. Touch road again.
All right. So when we took that break, we were discussing the question was asked, what, in your view, could be some of the things that will contribute in having an enabling environment for creatives? So Hayden, I'm not sure if you said all that you wanted to say in that particular segment. Was there anything that you left out?
Yes, I have something I wanted to say.
Okay.
I think it has to do with the development of the creative, him or herself. And I heard an ad about a songwriting workshop that's happening in St. Vincent and Grenadines. And I thought to myself, we need more of these sort of capacity building sessions for creative. We need to teach our creatives about how to, for example, those people who are singers like and songwriters like Joshua and myself, how to go about the process of releasing your song. What are the requirements? One, producing a quality enough product, but also how do you go about distributing it? How do you go about making sure that you are signed up to the PROs, make sure you get your royalties when your song is being played internationally. Make sure that you're connected to different organizations that allows you to collect those monies, that moolah. So I think it's important to build the capacity of the creative. And in the case of Akley, I can't speak for him because I'm not directly in the film, except that I do direct music videos, but my main focus is normally on music production, music distribution, music in this general sense.
Okay. All right. Chillbill.
I agree with everything Hayden said. I would also say, growing up, I didn't have the resources or the money to produce, music or like stuff like that at a high quality. I was only given the opportunity by Andres Bascom to use his studio, which everybody wouldn't come across somebody who's that, caring or would even care to give you a space to walk, So I think building a studio where the young people who are interested in music production and all of these things could go and, after school maybe or something and, hone their craft, I feel like that would be very helpful for people who don't have the money or the resources to do so.
Okay. You said two interesting things there. One, in that you had someone who's already in the industry who wasn't selfish about lending their facility to you for you to hone your own craft. So that is one of the first things where persons cannot be or they should not be selfish, because when someone has died and they've gone on, what happens to the industry, the sector? Who passes it on? Who teaches them? So I think that is, so commendations to the person.
Yeah, Andres Bascom.
Andres Bascom, right. So commendations to that person as well. And I never really thought about it in that context because, yes, Hayden made mention of equipment, etc., being expensive. But you have persons who might be in the neighborhoods or any blocks who have an interest, but they don't have an Andres Bascom who they can reach out to. So having a facility available, it's good. It's good. I never thought of it, but good.
But also, Roleza, it's important to also, when you would have created that amazing song track and you have this music video and so on, now where do you get the avenue to perform, to hone that performance skill? You need at least, so they say 10,000 hours to become a professional at anything. Where do you get that stage? St. Vincent does not have enough of these stage that young upcoming artists can perform to really perfect that performance skill. Yes, we have Carnival, which is a small window, and it is not the window that is appropriate for all kinds of music, all kinds of artists. But we need to create some other stage, blues, jazz festivals, reggae festivals, and encourage young people to take part. Because like you know, any creative skill has to be developed and it has to be perfected over time. But we need to create these avenues for young people and for creatives locally.
So again, I'll go back to the fact that I was I'll go back to the fact that I was born in the 80s, right? So when I hear Hayden say blues, jazz festival, reggae, I say, but Hayden, you and I know they had them there already, right? And when you combine it with the beautiful experience of Andres Bascom, who I know as well, big him up. I thank him so much for like facilitating you because now we could enjoy what you have to say. So when we combine that now, I invite you and us as Vincentians to make a little analysis. And the analysis is, how do you pass on legacy? Do you pass on legacy by becoming a sort of like gatekeeper who hoard resources and opportunities? Or do you try to enable the future, right? And if you really, well, I don't know what kind of observations people make of the society, but I feel like we have had legends that passed through Vinci. We have legends living with us right now.
Absolutely.
I like I said, I just talk to the old people then, and I would sit down with Blondie, up at this thing, and he would tell me of carnival costumes gone by. I one of my good friends who recently passed away was Mr. Julian Pollard, and we would like reflect on like some of the beautiful like manifestations of art and culture that has come through Vinci, and the talent and the skill and the kind of thing that on get celebrated and put Vinci out there, and you find now that here we are, another generation or mixed generation, and here we are in a sort of like perpetual state of loss where we're like, oh, we don't know how to do this, we don't know how to do that, when it's been done already. But where is the chronology of it? How do I tap in? Right? How do I tap into that which was created and represents Vinci before to take it further? Where is the archive so I could go and sit down and listen to Beckett from beginning to end? What about Soso, who we lost, right? And those are just
my favorite.
The soca people, right? There's so many other examples. What about Cain? Talking about blues and jazz. There's a bus up at
Peace Mall.
How many of the young people under 15 or 16
I didn't know
years
about
old?
him until I come out of school.
Thank you. And
Frankie McIntosh.
Okay,
Uncle Frankie, yeah.
Right. And
I only know about him because they were honoring him and they asked me to sing a song in his honor, and that's the reason why I know about Frankie. And I am a musician.
Yes?
And that's the greatest.
I'm serious.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
So we have to think about what we're doing, especially if we say we're going into the future. And I just listen to I just listen to everybody and they speak. But the truth is, I just like how our Prime Minister describes St. Vincent as this sort of like multi-dimensional space that could be local, regional, and international at the same time. Like I like to imagine myself in that space. And even when you guys said local just now and we watch each other, it was kind of like funky because we're local, we're here, but our audience isn't here, which means we're not really local. You know?
Okay.
Our audience is global.
Yeah.
And that's how you have to start to think and see St. Vincent, because the truth is, like, I mean, give Jack or Jill her jacket, right? We have a more or less good internet connection right now. You know, we have access to all kinds of like educational resource through the internet and through what's available right now. So, in fact, like being 45 years old as a nation it's like maybe it's an opportunity to check yourself before you get to 50 and to recognize that we have generated some things. We have a little bit of an understanding of what is Vinci now, you know, and it's really like how do we like preserve that and pass it on,
Promote as well.
and be you know that's why
Yeah.
you know this is why they have art exhibitions so people could see people who we want to honor. This is why they have cultural festivals, and it's not to bring in the international act, it's to promote the local act. And that does be weird to me because we just have these festivals and we go pay a big restaurant from Jamaica thousands to come to.
Don't get me started on that, Akley.
Correct. Yep.
And the local restaurant,
Correct.
you know,
$200.
the local restaurant
$200.
been sweet for you.
Or they say that it's for exposure.
The country.
For exposure.
Yeah.
But Akley, you are
Exposure
on
doesn't pay. I hate to hear that word exposure, but anyways.
you're on the money. I want to talk a bit about that. But at a different slant. I want to give credence to our gatekeepers. We talk about those in the past, but I'm talking about those who are currently as shakers and movers of the culture in our beautiful 32 island state. We're looking at Rodney Small, who creates Steel Expressions and creating a platform for young and upcoming talent. Darren Andrews also hosts his show and also providing platform for young and upcoming artists and performers. Even Tooks Violin Academy. He is doing a fantastic job. I looked at the video on IG with the kids playing violin, and if you want to go back 10 years from now, maybe one or two people knew how to play violin in St. Vincent. Now we have a generation of people who are now being empowered in music. Sherry Denny Edward, she is an underdog, but she's one of the people in St. Vincent with myself who have created this Sing It Like the Stars show that showcased young upcoming gospel artists who have owned record deals because they have excel at that particular show. You want to talk about people who are creating these movements and that are not just doing it for money, but out of love and passion for the arts.
And don't get me wrong, like I mean, not for love of money, but also for like the whole idea of entrepreneurship and development of the national capital, including the cultural capital, right? Because you know, like if my brother here becomes the Vinci Afrobeats Bob Marley, right? The cultural capital goes to St. Vincent. The intellectual property and the benefits of it comes here. And we know IP is like forever. So he'll be able to like create generational wealth for his family, Vincentian families on the ground with culture, you know. So you have to also think of these things not just as like, you know, but as products. And we need like, the business community to be able to like understand and see that. And sometimes that's a challenge because even to go back to the enabling environment, like I personally have experienced like, you know, in my I would say small business which is like my bread and butter. I you know, like I've come up with challenges where sometimes I feel like I'm equipped to do the next high budget ad, you know, for the companies that do have a marketing budget. Like I have the skill set, the know-how, the experience, and also the track list. Like I have clients like that in other countries. And sometimes just because I'm local, these companies would prefer to bring somebody in from
Yeah.
overseas. And that's part of the
It's
enabling,
okay.
because if you don't believe your local people could do the same work, save you money, because you don't have to fly them in.
Right.
You don't have to put them in hotels. You don't have to pay them a per diem every day, And you also get the benefit of saying, yo, this is 100% local.
Intention.
And sometimes you battle with that because there's the sentiment that was local is not good, and we have to confront that by changing it, by showing you that local can be international and be here on the
quality
ground at the
standard.
same time. I think maybe that's the goal of like the expo, right? Like,
Yeah.
And it should be the goal of all small businesses, because I always say you cannot think just in a local context. You have to think whatever product or service that you're putting out there, that somebody within the region may want to utilize it or to buy it. Whether it's regional, whether it's international, things cannot be. And I guess maybe that's why you looked at each other, because yes, sometimes we think of it just locally produced things, but we have to think on an international scale at this point in time, because if you're advertising on social media, it's not just Vincentians are seeing it, right? It's persons throughout the world who are going to see it. So
it's curating your product that it is of standard that could surpass the expectations of people within the international space. But it is interesting to also look at the power dynamics at play. After talk about how local companies prefer to use international
or regional
service providers, but it goes even further than that. If you were to look at it, the dichotomy between secular and, let's say, gospel artists, you were performing on the same show, but then you're paid less. I remember when they had that big show. I don't know what it's called. I saw people getting tens of thousands of dollars who were in the secular space, and gospel artists getting $500. And that was really an assault and sort of it signals to us how people are perceived within the space, and also the power dynamics and the power differentiation that comes up when we talk about who holds what and who's valued for what, and what space you find yourself in, and how does your value stand up in that space.
Okay. All right. So we're coming down to the roughly last 5 minutes of the interview, right? So to round up, I would like to get from each of you what to date has been your biggest accomplishment, and what is your next main goal, if you care to disclose. I know everybody doesn't want to disclose their goals, but what might be your next big goal? So Hayden, let's start with you.
Oh, great. Thank you. So I am working on an album, my third album. And this one is basically a passion project too, because during COVID-19, I swore to myself I would never sing again. That was it. I took 3 hiatus, and I was like, I'm done with music.
What COVID did to you?
I don't know. I think it's just the whole feeling of abandonment and the whole feeling of being alone and just not wanting to be part of that anymore.
Okay.
And I just wrote about my feelings, how I felt about love, about pain, about joy, about victory, about loss. And I never thought I would sing these songs. I just wrote to heal myself. And so this project came out of that. So it's a very diverse sort of project that straddles several genres of music. So my biggest achievement so far, I think, having won a Global Music Award for my film, Shout It Out, that song we did, and we portrayed the indigenous aspect of our people. I think that to date is my biggest achievement.
All right.
For me, I've accomplished quite a few things. I don't know what to choose, from
You're just very proud of yourself.
Yeah.
All right.
And the next main thing would be just to take this to the next level.
All right.
Yeah, and I would borrow from you, because I'm grateful to had many moments of like self-validation, of like feeling like, okay, you were right to believe in yourself. And it has opened doors, lots of doors that I try to keep open, and then try to see, who I could bring through, and also how I could like open those doors directly to here.
Okay.
Because the whole idea for me is really to like, it's really like you were asking about, how can we like maximize this potential? Because I feel like now I know with my ideas and with my perspective and with technical abilities, I could make something here that can sell globally, right? Like I know that. But the challenge is I've been doing it with like limited resources, rightly so, because and now it's really like how to double down on that, because primarily I've been working with myself and a small crew of like local friends and family. But really, if we were supposed to like enable this thing to a more national level, and like if like I say, I'm a trained director of photography. If I could get like a trained sound mixer for film on island, who have who's
I'm
this-
coming. I'm
Right.
I'm working
So,
on it right now.
Joshua.
Thank you.
Yeah, check me.
So I want
Hey, Joshua.
You put in an application?
to make the scores. All right.
Yeah,
That's what I want.
absolutely.
Then I want like a trained editor for film, right? And this
Dante
thing.
Oliver.
Then I also
But-
need a trained lighting technician for like field lighting and for lighting
So
in studio.
you're currently trying to source these persons because
No,
They
want,
both.
I
They
want
are-
these persons locally.
right,
They
right,
are here.
So they're
right.
here.
Mhm.
Ah,
And then the other thing is now we also have to work on some other things, because when you're making films, it's like you have to become a little bit like a military unit, especially if you want to capture things on time in a high quality way. So there's also like an attitude you have to develop about being on time,
being professional.
Discipline.
respecting people's,
Professional.
people's opinions and how to contribute creatively to a discussion, not getting your feelings because
Yeah.
you are with my idea. Like I feel like if I could figure out how to like construct that locally, and we could come to an understanding of how we'll share the proceeds, right? Because first we have to become a crew, and we have to risk it at creating something big. Let's say like a 10-episode series about the indigenous people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but unfolded in a sort of like action historical drama,
I can write. I can help you write it.
Right. So if we're able to like come together, develop something like that, and then figure out how to use maybe the bits and pieces of distribution that I've discovered to get it to market, right? Yeah, if we get on Netflix, we good, because if we get one in, we'll get in two. And then we'll be like Colombia. Because Colombia is like running Netflix right now in terms of like series. And what they're doing is using their folklore, the magical creatures and things of the past. The story them our granny used to tell how we them thing there. Them thing there's what we could sell,
Yeah.
And the spill off would be it would spill off into the tourism, because then the people are gonna want to come here to experience that, like they came for Pirates of the Caribbean. It's gonna spill off into the imagination of the future, because the kids are gonna be like, oh, they're magical people living in the forest, and all kind of like attitude is gonna change when it comes to like what is local. And that's the potential that we have, and that's what I want to, in business terms, exploit.
Okay.
I agree with you so much, Akley, with what you said there about us, using our, we have to leave the interview now. Time is up on us. But I do agree with you with that one. And I usually look at us. That's one of the reasons why I really like what you do, because I see you as preserving our culture. Because one of your videos, this video you mentioned, the documentary you mentioned about the Caribs, a lot of what I learned from that documentary. I was looking for information to teach, and I couldn't find stuff, and I found that, and I was so happy. I usually say we usually shun our culture, our language, our everything, not until some white man come down with their camera and they start recording, and this thing goes international. We God, look, we think, and that is the time that we usually wait to embrace things. And I hope that we will look at your documentaries and that we will embrace it now, and not just wait until somebody of a different skin complexion come and do it. Because usually we don't want to accept things until a different color showcases it. And it's the same thing with our talent, as we mentioned before. I would mention Vincy singers to some people, and I would big them up, and people would be like, them, they're somebody. And I would be so disappointed because if I call some regional somebody, they up in the, yeah, this, and sometimes this sing is such stupidness, not better than what our Vincentian sings. So that's one of the key things that, for me, we need to really embrace our own and not just wait until outsiders do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my piece.
So before all of you leave, just leave us the information, your social media handles in terms of how persons can make contact with each of you.
Hayden Billingy,
That's just it?
across the board.
Okay.
Akley Olton, across the board, and Island Rebel Media.
Okay.
Chillbill, OMG, ITZ Chillbill on Instagram. But step in Chillbill, all caps.
Okay. All right. So thank you very much, guys, for being here with us this morning. I know that we have a lot of persons listening within the diaspora as well. So for those of you who are interested or want to see the creative industry flourishing here in SVG, and, could come on as an investor, contributor in whichever way that you can, I would strongly suggest that be done. All right. Because for many persons here in SVG, yes, our persons may have the talent, but we're also limited with funds.
But here it is.
Thank you.
Saying he leave in the UK where he's a megastar to go back to Ghana and Zanzibar because he feels the authenticity of the stories that are there will reinvoke the whole scene. So you're seeing like these megastars trying to come to spaces like this to tap into what we have going on. Yo, why we don't tap into it first?
Yep. And that's the whole thing with giving the
Exactly.
hand up. If you've been able to achieve and accomplish, nobody says that you have to do it. But if you're able to give that hand up to somebody who is actually showing effort, and not just seeing somebody saying that I have an idea, and you're not seeing the fruit of it. But if you actually seeing the efforts and the works that they're done, give them the hand up. All right. That's how we're going to grow as a nation collectively.
Like we said, then Vincy, come on, man.
Thank you, ladies, for having me.
All right.
Good.
Thanks for
It's
being
been a
here.
pleasure.
All right.
Okay, then. So at this time, we are ending our interview with Joshua Lewis, Hayden Billingy, and Akley Olton, filmmaker, producer, musician, singer, songwriter, all those things in one day, our three creatives. It was indeed a pleasure. This conversation could go on and on and on, but we must end it here today as we must now go into our community dateline.